Ready? It is 6 p.m. and we will call this budget workshop to order.
Okay, the last time I talked to you guys, we were definitely in the hole on the budget. But since then, I've spoken with Chief Golding from Aberdeen, and they are not going to raise the EMS fees like they had proposed earlier in the budget season. In fact, they're going to stay the same. So instead of $32.83, it's $27 and change per household or utility account. That made a huge difference in our budget. I've been working with Darren and Kyle and the finance committee on this. And we have set up the budget so that the Aberdeen contract with full EMS services go through April. At least that's our goal. And then the rest of the year, hopefully it would go down to the old contract with Aberdeen, which would be roughly 78,000 a year. And in doing so, we were able to balance the general fund budget. So the grand total for the general fund budget is $2,601,559. Now, for some reason, if we're unable to do that, so we're not able to get rid of the contract at the end of April, we have to extend. During the year, we would have to do a budget amendment and then reassess the fees at that point in time. So what we are proposing in this budget is raising our current EMS fee from $6.75 per household to $18 per household. So that's $11.75, which is much better than $27 or the $32.83 that we had been looking at. So our goal is to keep this down for the citizens as much as possible. Our fire equipment fund is at 34,000. And what goes in there is 2.5% utility tax that's on your utility bills. And that helps pay for the fire truck. So all the money that goes into there pays the majority of the payments. The ones that it can't make, the general fund does pay for. And that's roughly about 3 of the 4 payments because it is billed quarterly. Equipment reserve, that is funded by sales tax and a 5% utility tax. Our goal is to spend as little as possible out of there. We want it to build up a little bit in hopes that the following year we'll be able to purchase a patrol vehicle for the officers. That's one of the priorities at this point in time. So we're just kind of right now holding steady on that one, letting it build a little bit. The drug seizure fund, that's $700 that Casey had us deposit into that from, I'm not sure, Keith, where that $700 came from. Maybe you know something about that. I don't know.
Drug seizures.
Well, thank you for that. The advanced cemetery fund. So that's when we sell lots up at the cemetery. I don't really budget much other than the beginning and ending balance because I have no idea how many lots we're going to sell. Some years it's none, some years it's 1 or 2. It's not a lot. So that 10,000 is really what's in the fund as of this point in time. And so I'm assuming it's going to stay the same. Macarinkle Park, I didn't budget anything for because we've been in the hole the last couple of years due to no interest going in there. And it's the interest off the Macarinkle Park reserve that funds Macarinkle Park. So until we see the interest rates start bringing something in, it's kind of at a zero. So if the interest starts picking up throughout the year, then we'll adjust that. Street funds. So you'll notice that it's $171,366, which is down from 206 last year. Most of that is state shared revenues, gas taxes. That's the main thing, plus 10% of our property taxes. While property taxes are maintaining or going up a little bit, what our portion of gas taxes is actually going down. It's based off population, and there's a formula that the state uses. So that number I actually get from the state. It can vary, but I don't know till we actually receive it. So that's just kind of where that one sits. And Jeff, I think we just basically stuck with what we did last year for the budget.
Yeah, we did.
So Darren, Jeff, if I skip over anything, please jump in. I know I'm kind of going over it fairly quickly. Cemetery perpetual care. Again, that's another one based off services and the plots up there. I don't really budget much other than what's in there. Real estate excise tax. I did bump it up to 234,000 because we gained quite a bit this year compared to most years for real estate excise tax, but this next year I expect that to drop dramatically. Housing sales are already slowing down. In fact, Cheryl, when she was doing utility billing, only had 3 homes that transferred into new owners this month, which is really slow compared to what she had been doing. And with the rising interest rates, I expect that to keep going down. The UTGO bond fund, that's on the fire hall. I don't expect any money coming in or out of that one, so I left it the same. The UTGO bond 2020, that's for the new facility. And I'm really hoping at the end of the year, that balance will be 0. So what's left in it, but we don't know. So I took the balance that's in the account and just put that in there as a goal for construction and stuff. The water fund, we are projecting a 10% rate increase based off costs from Aberdeen. Other than that, Jeff and I, when we worked on the budget, for the most part, we kept everything the same as the prior year. Jeff, I don't know if you want to go into any more detail on the water fund.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what we've done is just kept them the same and just gonna see how it goes, and we need to adjust as we go, then we will.
Same thing for the sewer fund. Again, it's a 10% increase based off of increases from Aberdeen, and again, leaving most of the expenses the same. The only thing you're really gonna see it going up on expenses with the utilities would be things like insurance, because our insurance is going up to 21.77%, as I reported last time, and fuel costs are up. Those are the things we have no control over, but we definitely have to have. The LID. There's really not much activity in that. We only have one property that's still supposed to pay, but we have not received any payments this year on the LID. So I'm not sure, Steve, what we need to do on that one. The stormwater utility. Well, let's see, the first year of that, we did not spend any of the money. We let that sit to give it a head start, so we'll start spending some this year out of that for storm drains, flood control, that kind of thing. And then Macarenco Park Reserve. Hopefully we'll get some interest this year and not just interfund loan payments. Because right now, that's the only thing that's been going in there for the last couple of years are interfund loan payments. And so basically this budget that we're proposing to the council tonight is approximately 14% higher than last year. And most of that is due to the increased fuel cost and inflation. Our costs, as everybody knows, has risen dramatically. But revenues have not compensated for that. And the annual inflation rate that I found online for the 12 months ending October was 7.7, which was actually lower than it was in June, July, and August, which were upper 8s to 9, somewhere in there. So we're not asking for any equipment purchases at this point in time. If something happens and we need something, you know, like Jeff breaks something, a lawnmower or something. I meant Palmer Jamin, sorry.
Somebody blows the motor.
Or somebody blows a motor in the car, or a police officer does something to their cars, just saying. I mean, we know the fire department won't.
Don't jinx us.
So something like that would occur, we will come back to the council and ask for permission to purchase at that point in time. As for our personnel, the police department is getting a 3.5% wage increase, which is by their union contract. For all non-union positions, we are asking for a 3.5% increase. I know with all the talks we've had with, pension pennies, our guys have worked really hard this year. Every person that has worked for the city has gone above and beyond. I can't count how many times myself that I've gotten here to work and Cheryl or Christina has beat me here because they wanted to get a jump start, but they didn't want to be recognized for it. Or they stay late or offer to go do things on their own time. They'll volunteer anytime, anywhere. The guys in public works, we all know how hard they work. They've certainly earned it. So I calculated what it cost the city for that 3.5% increase for non-union employees. And for the whole year, it's roughly $18,000 to $20,000. Now, a big chunk of that does come out of the utilities, not the general fund. Tom, Jeff, Jamin, and Cheryl. Actually, the majority of Cheryl's wages comes out of the utilities, as she's the utility clerk. It's myself, Darren, and Christina that mostly impact the general. Our medical and dental benefits are increasing 4.5%, but all our other benefit costs are expected to remain the same. So it's kind of the entire city's budget in a nutshell. So now I'm willing to field any questions from council, public, whoever has one.
Any concerns, questions?
The LID fund, is that the leftover that LID 99-1, correct?
Yes, it is.
And what did we, I know we talked about it for like 5 years of what that money can be used for. I know some was borrowed out for.
There were interfund loans taken against which are being paid back. The only time we missed any payments was during 2020 because we just didn't have the money to pay any of the interfund loans.
So there's only one property owner that is still,
Correct. Everybody else is paid.
and what can that money be used for?
That, as you know, I'm in the middle of my audit, my 3-year audit with the state. I will write myself a note right now because I will be meeting with her on Friday. And when I get an answer, I can mail that out or email that out to you guys if you'd like, and then I'll report on it at the next council meeting.
I mean, I don't
So
know what
everybody knows.
Public Works needs are as far as if it was put in for sewer, can it only be used for sewer projects or pumps or?
I would imagine it has to stay with sewer because it's a utility type deal. But my question is, can I just now move that money into sewer and let the sewer fund use it like to buy pumps or whatever? Or does it have to sit there? What do I have to do?
Any ideas, Steve? What,
Yeah, I would ask the auditor.
Okay.
If she's dealing with the auditor right now. I think we've asked this question.
I know we have. But I've been meeting weekly with the auditor's office because of the audit. So I will make a point of asking that question this time around. Candace, you have any questions? I know Donna and I have talked multiple times in finance subcommittee meetings. Or Niall. And emails.
Right. Lots of those. Yeah, no, I think for me, I mean, we've been talking about Stan and I, so. I think we've been around it quite a bit. That's a good opportunity.
Ray, do you have any?
Y'all have
questions?
something.
You're the newcomer. Here, I'm sure you have lots of questions.
You don't want to hear. No.
I always
Um,
want to hear.
I just kind of went through and made notes and, it all makes total confusion.
Mhm.
But they all do.
And
Yeah.
now's the time to, I mean,
Yeah, I don't have any specific.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, it's pretty much to keep us where we're at right now. There's obviously some increases, like you said, that are inflation related, maybe a little bit of wages. I don't think that's gonna account for a whole lot. So we're just kind of in a status quo, the last few years since I got here at the end of 21, I guess. So the encouraging part is we're able to balance it and move forward. The discouraging part is we're not improving upon what we have.
I think we were all a little disappointed at the beginning of this year. We really thought that, okay, now we're gonna get back to normal. Then we're getting out of the pandemic, things are going great, and then inflation hit and just took all those hopes right down the drain with it, unfortunately.
we have been able to, I mean, at least with the last year, make some improvements here and there, but a lot of it's on back end software, things that make the jobs easier, things that make it easier for the public, but
Save money.
it's a steady by jerks, kind of momentum. It seems like every time we get over one hill, it's, just Sisyphus, and we keep going back up that hill, so.
Nick, Mark, Keith, do you guys have any questions on your respective budgets?
Mine's first time I've looked at it. so,
Oh,
sorry.
that's okay. Feel free to come in.
Morning. Or
Oh, Jeff,
you go for it. I was saying.
So last year we budgeted in, or we had it in to do a few improvements to that REIT fund. The cemetery roof. The Public Works, one of the shop roof. Also a little bit of stuff in Mill Creek restroom
Mhm.
with toilets and things like that.
Right.
Is that, I think that's gonna be something we're gonna have to do a case by case if.
Yeah.
We get our head above water and we're gonna have to bid these things out, have
right,
contractors come and that money is still
the money's still there.
there.
We didn't spend anything out
Yes.
of REIT this year, not one
So
penny.
as we get going springtime, we can look into doing a project here, a project there, even though that it's not specified, it has to be
Right.
done during this budget.
So then what we do was we'll come back to the council, we'll ask for permission, and we'll have to do a budget amendment for that.
Which
And-
fund is that?
REIT, real estate excise tax, number 305.
And we talked about some of that a little bit in the Public Works Committee meeting
Yeah.
earlier tonight, that some of the things we've normally asked for to be included in the budget at this time, because of the way things were and trying to get things balanced, we want to just go ahead and get the budget passed. If it looks like funds will allow and in all areas, not just the REIT funds. We will come to the council case by case. And get get permission and if funds are available.
Yeah, because, with real estate excise tax too, like I said, that's gonna slow down. We've been lucky the last couple of years because it's kind of built up with all the property sales around. Now that's coming to a sharp drop. Of course, it's slow this time of year anyway, but in general, the whole housing market is slowing way down.
Yeah. we
So it's
kinda-
just something to be aware of. It's not saying the funds aren't there, but we need to think about it when we're spending it.
Yeah, we had kind of a record windfall there for, roughly about a year.
Oh, yeah,
Things
it was
just
nice.
hot and heavy and, which is a great problem to have.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing I think we all know is the Aberdeen contract. But I mean, Darren and Nick and Mark have been working great on that and seeing a lot of momentum, and we're not quite there yet, but I have full confidence that we are at least on the precipice of being able to come into a mutual aid agreement within some time period. And so once that's done, that kind of unfortunate cost that came about us at the start of last year can be taken off, and we'll have a little more wiggle room. So that's the highlight.
Just to let the public know, today I did a complete budget report, but it didn't get done till right before I left this afternoon, so I wasn't able to get it onto the agenda packet for the public. But to let everybody know, please email me, come by. I have copies. I can email them. You can pick up a paper copy and look at it whenever it's convenient for you.
With the budget, every time it seems like we're working and crunching numbers up until the last minute.
Oh, literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Just for clarification, the stormwater utility. Under proposed for 23, that'll be at the end of 23. The 131,700 will be what is in there at the end of 23, is that correct?
That's not what will be in there. That's the ending balance plus the expenses. So, here, hold on a second, Jim.
For this, like, for January 1st essentially, or,
So when you see, let's see, let me find that one specifically. So if you go into the budget report that I printed out,
Okay.
you'll see it's broken down also by department head. So if you go to the stormwater utility, you'll see the revenues, which
What-
has a beginning balance. Are you there, Jim?
Yeah, what number?
It'll be the second to the last page. It's fund number 410.
Page or
I don't know what
15.
Oh, I
Yeah.
just have the whole.
Okay.
Yes, next to last, I just didn't count them. So if you look at the stormwater utility, you have a beginning balance of 63,000. So that's what's sitting in the fund as of the end of this year. Because
Okay.
we just collected revenues only, we did not spend a dime. So during 2023, I expect to bring in roughly 68,700.
Okay.
And then I plan on us spending roughly 61,500 in stormwater services, which is, the flood control, storm drains, whatever maintenance the guys are doing, maybe they're cleaning them. Whatever that consists of. And then I expect an ending balance of $70,000, 70,200. So that's what
Okay.
will remain in the fund at the end of 2023.
Okay. And that's a 1 year, $63,000 is what that.
That's-
stormwater
for this 2022.
That's
This
what
is
it
our
collected.
our first year of it, so I just was
Right.
curious about how that.
For our forecast for 2022, I think we
We
ended up with spot on.
Yeah, we're talking like we might be over maybe $100. I mean,
Oh, it's
we,
really accurate.
yeah, we
Yeah, so
were
it-
as accurate as you can be.
Worked out very well, and that is gonna pay off very much so now that we're doing the comprehensive stormwater plan with the 3 cities. That's gonna lay out our expenditures, for probably the next 10 years or so. Where if we have projects or pumps or things like that, we can leverage money we're taking in from our citizens. With grant funding to get some big problems taken care of.
So,
It's gonna take a bit of time, but it's gonna help.
so I imagine this is really gonna help out this next year then, because this is the first time where we're tapping into it then, right?
Yes.
So,
Um,
yeah,
I know it was a big contention when we first adopted it. so
Right.
That's why I just wanted clarification on it. 63 grand in a year, that's gonna help the water and sewer budgets immensely. Not hitting them so hard to. Get
I
some
think we've
work
been
done.
taking out a general, right, to,
Yeah.
to cover for that,
Oh, yeah,
Street, yeah,
or street, sorry.
Yeah,
streets and general.
so it's gonna help
Okay,
it'll help that.
multifaceted ways.
It was streets not getting the revenue that it used to. It was really important for us to set up this stormwater utility because streets it's bleeding. We're just not getting the fuel taxes that we used to. I mean, it's to the point where there's not really any big projects the guys can do. They can clean the streets and do minor repairs here and there, and that money's gone every year. Because we still have to leave some in the account. We can't, bleed it dry.
Well, we get another 48 cents as of January 1st.
Oh, we won't get that. Yeah,
Okay, we get 0.8 cents. maybe.
0.0008.
They tax you on that.
Nick, I didn't want to, sorry, we got distracted a little
No,
bit.
you're good. In the fire reserve, fire equipment. fund, That budget repayment next year, the fourth anticipated off.
The fourth is anticipated off the general fund.
Off the general. fund.
Yes.
Okay.
I only budget for the three because that's all the revenue that comes in. And again, I don't want to steal every penny, but there'll probably only be maybe a couple thousand left over.
Thank you.
And then I roll it into the next year with the new utility tax that comes in there.
Vehicle licensing, will that also be? Never mind,
That's a general fund thing.
okay. License plates are cool,
They're a nice thing to have, I think.
yeah. I've heard. Titles are cool.
Any other questions, comments? We can, say we can, we're gonna take a break. The RV ordinance workshop is scheduled to begin at 6:30. And so we will resume at 6:30. Give everyone 7-minute break.
It's out there.
It is 6:30 and we will call the workshop related to the RV ordinance to the session. This is a topic that we've discussed over the last couple of months, probably. Kind of coming to some sort of decision with the council, and after our recent public safety meeting, we're now presenting with adding some of the items from the proposed into the current, and instead of rewriting the whole thing, just making some changes. So Chief.
He's kind of tied up
Okay.
with a quick family emergency, hoping to get.
Okay, no problem. So the changes, as highlighted, starting off. Just minimal changes, moving over the new section, which would be 1024.025, that's on the second page. That would bring in permits, so that would provide the city the ability to bring in the permits, allowing for up to 7 business days within a quarter for those permits. Another change was adjusting 1024.020 that creates the 72-hour consecutive 72-hour hold minus the permit. The third change is in the final section, 1024.070, that creates the violation a civil infraction and puts a $150 fine on it if somebody goes against it. As discussed by Councilmember Ansich, have made adjustments so that some of the work vehicles and things would have a little bit of leeway. We've also added the ability to have that permit, and as of the discussion, the idea is to have that as a $50 permit for someone if they needed to have the extended time. That way it covers the staff time for it and the resources. But like I said, it's a combination of the two proposals, adding the permits, defining the violation, and then in the definition is just adding a word that was in the other section that needed to be added in. So. Questions, comments?
So we used the old definition for oversized vehicles into the new ordinance, correct? So that was one of the big
Yeah,
changes.
yeah, the only thing that was changed in the definitions was we added a definition for adjacent. But oversized vehicle and recreational vehicle was not changed from what is in the code right now.
So that was the big thing that we came up with last night. Because I know we had a lot of discussion over what oversized vehicle was, and we determined last council meeting that the old definition of oversized vehicle fits what we were looking for in the last meeting. So that's one of the big, that y'all should be aware of, is one of the big changes. And then fee structure for the permit and the violation. And then my only question, I wasn't sure if we were, it's written in here that we're leaving it per quarter, but I thought maybe we weren't.
Yeah,
That's something we could discuss, I guess.
If we wanted to do it per quarter or once per year or twice per year. And one of the thoughts was. Typically, these people aren't gonna do it more than twice a year, like the beginning of camping season, beginning of
Yeah.
the end, where they're kind of loading everything for the summer and unloading. But it's kind of what you feel is. What you want to go with on that. I mean, there's always some loading and unloading, but that would typically be done in the 72 hours.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, easily.
Yeah. Unless you're packing food like me.
I guess I'm backing up to the oversized vehicle. About the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth line down, it says. And all vehicles exceeding 10,000 pound GVW. That's basically anything over a 1 ton. So we're right back to your Comcast guys are exceed 10,000 pounds, your mechanic shop trucks exceed 10,000.
But they won't be over 72 hours.
Yeah, we got to move.
It may be a long weekend.
Mhm.
Yeah, they could.
It'd be rare, I would think.
Very rare, yeah. If it was like the Thanksgiving weekend, if they had a Thursday, Friday off.
Mhm.
But the definitions, I think we did the best we possibly could to try to exclude that. I mean, do you have any? I think you need to add on that, or?
But realistic, a lot of this is gonna be serial offenders and things of that nature that Ryan or Heath or whoever is not gonna go out as soon as someone pulls into with their Comcast truck, for instance, parked in front of their house, mark the time and then check exactly 72. If it's there for a week, 2 weeks or something, and it becomes an issue, that's when it's gonna be coming in.
To
That,
be fair, we're not gonna be seeking them out at all. It's gonna be
Yes.
responding to a complaint.
It's, yeah, the rig parked there for 3 days.
The second question I had was on the dwelling permits. With, now that the city has an RV park within the city, is that anything that we feel we want to do anymore?
What do you think? It's like somebody's building a house, maybe, you know what I mean? And it's almost done.
That seems like that's where it
That's
comes
really
up,
where
where
it
we've
comes
talked
up.
about it in council is they're putting it in on site.
That's, I think the only ones I've dealt with since I've been here have been when somebody was building a home. There wasn't like, hey, I need to camp out in so-and-so's yard for a while, because that's something we would allow anyway. So I don't know, obviously up to you guys.
allows for, does that count as a trailer park?
No. No,
I mean, as far as the definition. Because that does leave the ability, but
when you have trailers, you have manufactured homes, those are recreational vehicles, and those are, I don't know if it's broke down that far in here, I didn't look at that for that, but. It's not. No, an RV park.
so would that be something except in duly established trailer or RV park? Is that what you're? kind of
Well,
getting at?
I know in the past, I've seen RV permits, dwelling permits come up for, hey, I've got an elderly. Mom, dad, aunt, uncle, requesting, to put a trailer to stay there and take care of them. I'm just asking the question, is that something that we want to continue doing? Being that there is a park right at the end of town that specializes in this, rather than have right now, I think, building inspector goes out, looks to make sure there is adequate water service, electrical, sewer. I don't know. That's how that used to work. They would come in, fill out an application. Bill would go out and inspect the site to make sure it's met the requirements.
Yeah, that's what the code.
Yeah, is it something we want to do anymore? What I'm asking.
I
Two.
would, just for the fact that if somebody's wanting to take care of somebody, having them closer would be better than making them go that way.
Yeah, holiday season, some the home that was just finishing construction.
Well, the park, when it gets full, it's full. I mean, they don't have
Designated spaces.
spaces set aside for somebody just for a couple of nights or whatever.
Even if it doesn't get used.
Yeah.
We should at least just have it there as an option.
Yeah, rather than, because if we did not have that in there, then we certainly would have. Offenders who would, just. Pull up an airstrip in somebody's backyard and.
We have that now. Unfortunately.
The chief and the If you know,
Trying to go.
okay,
address
Make-
that. No.
That's just cousin Eddie, they'll be going after Christmas.
yeah.
Next month will be. Yeah.
uh. You. Any comments, concerns? Then the permit, I think if somebody does want a permit for that 7 days, they don't just get to park anywhere in the city. That is where adjacent came in. So on the second to last page is that top line. So if somebody comes in and does need that 7 days, they don't just get to park it on. I couldn't park mine in front of Jim's house, so on and so forth. Make sure that the rules allow for the responsible use of such vehicles. How you feeling on this one, Ray?
Well, a dwelling permit may be obtained from the city for a period not to exceed 60 days, but we're talking about somebody coming in.
That's already in the code, so that.
Yeah, but I know, but that's, what if my long lost grandmother came to live and I wanted to put the trailer next to my house and she's deceased, she might be there more than 60 days. That's why, is this,
It can be renewed only once, but I mean, it's
but she's gotta be ready to go in 4 months, or she can't stay at my place.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
essentially set up so it's not a permanent
yeah,
dwelling
so-
Yeah.
on the property is what it.
Find
You can
somebody.
stay inside your house, Rick, but.
No, you can buy it. You haven't been to my house yet, how would you can?
I mean, if it was something of that nature, then,
You'd be up there.
and it was an extended time, then at that point, someone really should look at going to the Daniel RV Park or something of that nature, that
Right.
different arrangements might need.
Well,
to
I
be made.
would, but I'm just was reading that thinking, okay, what about? My trailer was next to my house for 5 years, but nobody lived in it.
Well,
So,
that's the point. It can stay there forever,
yeah,
Yeah.
as long as nobody's living.
no, it can't, I had to get rid of it.
Yeah, it's not
You don't have
active.
And I
dwelling.
did. No, it's, yeah, I understand that part, just.
I mean, any law, of course, is something that somebody with the best of intentions and a very unique circumstance, it could be like the what if type of, that's always possible, but the options of that occurring versus the offenders are, I mean, it's greatly outnumbered. I mean, similar to when we were talking about like the work trucks and things like that.
Right.
That's on a very minor scale. This is the offenders and somebody who is causing an issue, blocking streets, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
So
I agree with that.
Were there any other questions regarding the changes that we made in the public safety committee? I apologize for my tardiness, but my sister texted me at 6 saying, oh, I fell down the stairs here. So I wanted to make sure he was okay.
so far, no.
We just kind of talked
Yeah.
about what we changed. So we talked about changing the oversized, using the old definition for oversized vehicle in the new ordinance. And then, the permits for quarter and how we got to that, and then the fee structure for the permits and the fine.
How about the alleviation of you said per quarter requirement and any requirement at all for number of times, only it's every 7 days? In essence, we alleviated the 4 times or every quarter for the permit, and if someone wanted to come every 7 days and get another permit,
Wow.
pay the city $45.
The update is still within a quarter, but that's probably.
We wanted to get rid of that.
Well, nobody told me that.
We
Yeah,
can,
yeah.
So we can, I mean,
Okay.
we could
That's okay.
remove in 1024-025, remove within a quarter, and just say for up to 7 days.
Yeah, we weren't gonna put, remember we talked
Yeah.
about not putting
Yeah.
Sorry.
a stipulation on the number of times that they could get a permit.
But wouldn't you want to have some, so it's not there year round?
Yeah.
Well, but that's,
But if it is, and they wanna pay
Every 7 days.
$45 every
$45 a
7
week.
days. That's $180 a month,
No, I get it.
Yeah.
but-
so we can pave a street if they wanna do that.
Well, I think it too, like if it becomes an issue and somehow that's a loophole now,
Mhm.
that's something that we come back at and say,
We're
yeah, this
basically
isn't
renting a
working
space at
for
that
us.
point, aren't we?
Yeah,
Right,
faithful thing, if you got enough money to pay, put it out there, it's okay.
then they got it at their home and it's on the street.
Yeah, yeah. that's
If
not
you're on,
really the-
live on a narrow street, you've got things like
Yeah.
fire trucks. Trying to get down there and they're trying to dodge vehicles and.
and yeah,
that
if
sort
you,
of thing,
for RV storage,
Something at the beginning, almost out of the street,
let's see.
'cause they're,
period.
Yeah, for RV storage, I mean, at that point, it would be cheaper theoretically, based on just rough
Oh,
numbers,
absolutely.
rather than $200 a month to pay the city for these permits and come in on weekly basis. It alleviates that. It gives people that,
Okay. Well, then leave it at the quarter.
Okay.
For now.
Yeah.
You know, if that's true.
I see it, yeah.
Once we get something in place, I mean, it's a work in progress anyway.
yeah.
It's the foundation of what to come.
Mhm.
At a later time.
and probably right now you're not gonna see much because it's winter time.
Right.
They're already been winterized and in storage if they're not on their.
If they're not there, if they're there, those are the problem ones right now.
Right.
Thank you, Sana, Candace. Comments, questions?
Thank you.
So this proposed ordinance. It's still 1378.
Yes, it's still
Yeah.
13.
Is on the agenda later tonight for consideration. But now's the time to get
Yeah.
any of these adjustments.
Yeah, I would say if anyone has an idea, like if they wanted to change that, I think let's try to.
Yeah.
Hash it out in the next 12 minutes and then, then when it comes time to vote on it, we can make an amendment if it's changing this. Because otherwise, we tried to take the comments from all the previous meetings and try to change this all and have a fee structure that makes sense for what we're trying to obtain.
So then,
Do that the next
yeah,
meeting.
at the permit fee and everything, that will be a resolution that, if passed, would come for the next meeting. So we can either keep hashing it out, or if you'd like, spend the next 12 minutes or so reading over it and acquainting yourself if there's any questions, whichever the council's pleasure. I guess if there's nothing that's jumping up off the top of people's minds, we will call the workshop to a close and
Get started.
Thank you for putting the tree next to the flag.
You remember that?
Yeah. Pledge allegiance to the tree.
The city of Cosmopolis.
Yeah, you were.
Flying over there.
Well, he got, it was like halfway through. It is 7 PM and it is the regular council meeting. I will start with the flag salute. Following the flag salute, I would like a brief moment of silence for Stephen Hyde, and we will discuss that a little bit later. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Again, we just learned this week that former city attorney Stephen Hyde has passed. He spent 41 years with the city of Cosmopolis, only retiring as a city attorney in 2017, and spent a lot of time here. And so it's a big loss. So thank you, everyone. We will begin the meeting with roll call.
Councilmember Wenzel,
Present.
Councilmember Robinson,
Present.
Councilmember Ansich,
Present.
Councilmember Carlisle,
Present.
and Councilmember Marcus.
And department heads are here and accounted for. Approval of agenda. Has the council had a chance to look at the agenda? And what is the pleasure?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Robinson, second by Councilmember Ansich to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? So passed. It is public comment period. If the public has a comment on agenda items, now would be the time. And as always, we just do ask that you maintain that to around 3 minutes. That way we have time for everyone who does want to comment. But the floor is open. If anybody had a comment on an agenda item. Yes, maybe you just introduce yourself whenever you're ready.
Ocean Avenue. I just have a question on the agenda items for the budget. I noticed in the packet, it referenced that it was posted to the city's newspaper. And I wanted to see if we could, as a council, start updating some of our policies that reference newspapers, because we spend all the money on the website and there was no updates on the website or anything like that. I just think we should start focusing things that are like referencing newspapers to be updated by council, as well as make sure it's available to the public in some way that we can see it. There's no way to see the budget prior to, like, right now. I looked on the website, you can find it, Facebook, and everyone else I could think of, I couldn't find it. So that'd be appreciated.
Since the budget isn't passed yet, it's not posted there, but I will get it posted once it is passed. And the city's newspaper is technically the Vidette, but since the pandemic, the Vidette hasn't been operating, and they're also owned by the same company that owns the Daily World. So we will post it to the Daily World once it is passed by the city council.
And that's state regulation that requires that as well.
I
But-
just think in regards to newspaperness, we need to start updating for 2022. Because the website is, internet is where we're at, and it's,
Yes.
shows is made.
It's an RCW that makes us post it to the newspaper.
Yes, it will be posted to the website as well. Thank you. Any other comments on agenda items? Not seeing anybody jump up, we'll move on to the consent agenda, claims, vouchers, and meeting minutes from our November 16th meeting. What's council's pleasure?
Make a motion to pass the consent agenda as presented.
No, second that.
A motion by Councilmember Wenzel, second by Councilmember Robinson to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? So passed. Moving on to committee reports. We will start with Finance Subcommittee.
Finance Subcommittee, we hit on all of that in the budget workshop. So we talked about the budget and what's coming up, and then that is also coming up later this evening.
Thank you. Public Works.
No meeting, no report. Wait,
Met today.
yeah, we did. Yeah, we met today. Well, we've had like 3 meetings already.
Yeah.
Let's see. We went over the budget, which includes, getting some help down in Public Works. Anything else we can think of, Candace?
Just everything.
Anything? Anything?
I was listening. No, thank you. No. You covered it.
Just about like the improvements as well. that
Yes.
We are wanting to make, but we'll see how the budget is, for those improvements.
Yeah, so there, that was our meeting.
Thank you. Public Safety.
Quite a bit, public safety last night, so just one meeting in this short period. We did budget presentation like we did in the workshop today, so we talked about that specifically for the fire and police side of it. We also talked about the RV ordinance, which we talked about in the workshop before the meeting tonight. On the fire side, we kind of had some reports now from our fire department. So they did 3 drills in November, which is great. So it's been on Monday nights, correct? So they've been working on things like CPR, EMS protocols, safety meeting, hose deployment. So they're getting in there and training. So it's fantastic. 30 calls in November, they got out to about 30% of them, which for 3 or 4 of them responding, I think 3 responding right now. I think that's fantastic. I think they're burning the candle on both ends. So really commend that. Let's see. For the most part, we're talking about some reporting software like we have been for every other department, essentially. We're kind of putting that on hold right now for the budget to stabilize, but that's something we're looking at down the road. So we shouldn't be surprised at some point, public safety coming to city council. We need to update the required reporting system. So when we're in a better financial place, I think that's something we're gonna request.
Thank you. Parks, Rec, and Cemetery. And we are the Aberdeen Hoquiam RFA, Aberdeen Hoquiam Cosmopolis RFA Planning Committee, Central Grace Harbor Regional Fire Authority Planning Committee. That is coming up tomorrow here in Cosmopolis at the fire hall, if anybody wants to attend. No meeting or no report from that. Moving on to city official reports. We will start with City Administrator Waits.
I just got one thing. As you know, Keith Stratton is retiring. And I just wanted. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you, Casey, for all your years of service here. You know, we've been through great times, we've been through some pretty rough times. It's been a roller coaster for sure, but you've been the constant in your department. And as I wrote you in a note today, you're leaving your department much better off than it was when you got it. And I appreciate you and I appreciate your service. Thank you. Thank you. That's it.
Finance Director. Here we go.
I'll give you an update on the audit. We are almost through the financial aspect of the audit. We're getting ready to start the accountability portion of it. And the council will be hearing from me probably in the next week to set up the entrance interview. That's kind of where that's at for now. I did want to ask the council permission for our unemployment insurance to go to a taxable status. Currently, we are what's called reimbursable. So what that means, if somebody gets laid off that works for the city and they can collect unemployment, say they get $500 a week, the city has to pay that $500 a week back to the state. So we do not currently pay any premiums to Employment Security Department for unemployment. So what I'm asking for is that we switch our status from reimbursable to taxable. So we start paying premiums, and in the future, if something happens, we don't have to pay all of that at one time. As it is now, we set aside roughly $3,000 a year for unemployment claims if they occur, but that's not close to enough. And with the city's financial condition, I don't think we can really afford to pay those claims. So I'm asking the council permission to sign the forms and request that we go from reimbursable to taxable.
What does that change fully entail? Like, what does that mean to us? And what does that-
Percentage of wages to the state's employment security department. So they will go through and they're gonna look at all the claims the city's had in the last few years to establish a base rate. Fortunately, I know in the last 8 years, there's been none. Prior to that, I don't know, because I wasn't here, but I would imagine that they were few and far between. So it would take everybody's wages times whatever percent it is, and we would pay that on a quarterly basis. Kind of like we pay L&I, we pay Social Security and Medicare, things like that.
And as it is now.
We do not, I report the wages every quarter, but we do not pay anything. We pay zero.
Yeah.
Would the employee pay part of that?
No.
Okay.
Unemployment is never paid by the employee.
Okay.
That is strictly an employer.
Is the unemployment insurance paid by the city then? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Is that what the line item would be probably in their pay
There's a,
stub?
they won't have anything on their pay stub.
But wouldn't it show employer
If
contribution per
it
person?
could show up under the benefit side.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Is this a change in cost? Or we go into those kind of budget billing and they do the,
It's not really budget billing.
well, and I kind of use the example from the PUD that, I mean, looking back at the past years for how much it would be. So what is the cost adjustment? And I apologize for stepping on the council's toes too.
Go for it.
So it'll depend roughly on how much they charge us, but I'm expecting. It's gonna be more than the $3,000 a year I set aside right now. But one claim is gonna cost more than that. Because most people, when they get unemployment, they're, especially if they work for the city, they're gonna get a minimum of $500. Chances are they're gonna be closer to $700 or $800 a week. And they're gonna collect it for up to 6 months, because that's what the limit is right now. And sometimes you can get an extension and go another 6 months, depending on what the federal government's offering. So let's say you have $700 a week. Well, that's $2,800 a month. So you're gonna start racking up these big bills, and we're not gonna pay that much in a full year of premiums back to employment security. So in the long run, it's cheaper for the city
To do taxable.
to do the taxable.
If you have.
If you have a claim. If you don't have a claim, then it's different. This is also one of the items that the state is going to be auditing us on, because we are self-insured. So they want to make sure that we're setting the appropriate funds aside and that kind of thing, and that we have some kind of policies in place to govern it. But my preference is to do this, because you don't know what the future holds.
So if we are paying in quarterly, is it quarterly on the claims or quarterly like a
On the
prepaid
wages.
just in case?
It's a set percentage of the wages, kind of like your social
Insurance.
security. And Medicare is 7.65% of your wages. So you pay part of that, and of course, city pays part of that. So we take your wages times the 7.65, and I then that one goes to the federal government. This won't be that much. You're talking maybe 1%, 2% at the most will go to employment security every.
Just buying an insurance policy.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a what if.
And it's a what if.
So potentially, if something ever happens. And we were forced to do layoffs, we probably wouldn't even have the cash to support that.
We would not have the cash to support paying the employment security back for those claims. We would not.
So on the reimbursable as it is now, and this is, I'm just trying to make sure I can wrap my head around it. Right now, every quarter we get, this is how much it costs, here's your bill.
If we had
It's-
any claims. So what we, every
But the
quarter,
taxable is. This is an average of what your claims were, and we just pay that just in case.
it's just a flat percentage. And every year they adjust your percentage on the number of claims. So the more claims you have, the more you pay into it.
So what
The
is
less
the,
claims you have,
what is
the
the cost differential, I guess, between reimbursable and taxable? How much does it cost the city?
Well, and that again depends on if you have layoffs. Or you terminate somebody and they're eligible for unemployment. So we've been fortunate, we've had zero.
So we haven't been paying anything. 'Cause
We
don't
haven't.
pay, we haven't paid in 8 years at least.
Well,
Any
it's
to
been-
L and I because we let someone go, and we're also not paying for the insurance or whatever. Yeah, L and I insurance, yeah. So that's, it hasn't been a line item, I guess, or what, it
There's a
would come
line
out of
item
general
on-
fund probably.
It comes out of the general fund and there's a line item for $3,000 we put in there every year as a just in case. But again, if for some reason we had to lay off anybody, chances are at that point, I wouldn't have the cash to reimburse those claims. Right,
6 months to make that.
yeah, they go the 6 months. Then we're. Right,
But we don't know what that number is yet, right?
no, I don't know the exact number,
Is it,
but it's based off prior claims, and like I said, we're fortunate that we've had none,
is it
so
possible?
they'll put us the lowest rate.
I was gonna say, is it possible to get like a guesstimate rate? I mean, is this something that we
Yes,
should,
I
we
can
could get a
get-
rate and then come back and? look-
Absolutely.
Okay,
I can do that the next council meeting.
Like, if we could get an estimate before next meeting, because we got one in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
okay,
Sure, I'll do that.
yeah, okay, perfect. I was wondering, it's like how, it's a whole new system that I'm unfamiliar with, but yeah, that'd be
Not a
great. It'd be
problem.
great to see some stuff.
You just open it. It's
We do like Cosby does right now. Where we,
Remember.
yeah, we reimburse and we've had very few claims. Cities usually don't have a lot of claims because they don't lay off.
We're off one of these days and then we're really in a mess.
Well, and it costs so much now. I mean,
Oh, right, yeah.
I'm not sure what the maximum weekly benefit is. But is it
I think it's.
eight something? So, yeah, that's a
I think
chunk
the
of change.
prices me by Oakland. And I just assumed we're a larger entity and
Yeah, we've been, you know, I've been hoping 28 years and we probably had 3 claims. You know, all those years, and those are people that got fired.
So something to think about, and then,
I'll look at the rate line 15 next week.
thank you. very
That's all I got.
much. Thank you. Keep Stratton.
Hey, I was on my very first ever council meeting. I stood up and addressed the audience and the council. And so I'll go out that way. As I got one item and it's me leaving. So it's been an interesting 18 years. It's been very memorable. And Darren said we've become a family. I am dedicated to the men and women who have served police departments, also those who have worked for the city. I feel like we are just one giant family and we've gone through a lot together. I would like to invite Deputy Chief Lehman up, who is now going to be at this interim acting Chief Lehman. As far as any formal announcements, hopefully those will be coming in the next day or two. As far as who my successor is going to be, I've given my preferences and I am more than certain that Chief Lehman will be doing the job that I have done because he's been doing it for the last 18 years. We made a deal when I first came over. I said, I'll handle the politics and all this stuff that comes up, and you do all the administrative stuff. And he said, deal. So this is not going to be new for him, and you are in more than capable hands. If anybody can make the police department in the city succeed, it's that man right there. Anyway, Keith, would you come up here and take over my seat? Which is now your seat, and just join the audience.
No further report.
You already.
Yeah.
Just to follow up on your report, Chief, we've been talking, I've talked with, Deputy Chief Lehman and I've talked with yourself, and as of this time, there is 0 other options I'm even considering than, Deputy Chief Lehman, appointing him as the incoming police chief. Acting chief, in your stead, and now we're just working out all of these specific details, but, there is 0 consideration anywhere in my mind at all that Heath is not the correct person for that job. Just to make sure that everybody's aware of that. That's where we're going. We just need to figure out the T's and the I's. So. Interim fire chief, Darren Rains and or Nick.
I'll start real quick, but I'll turn it over to these guys for the brains of the outfit. I just again want to commend Nick and Mark, and the guys over there, Sam and Bill, and the other station volunteers that volunteer, doing everything in the building itself. What these guys have done in about a quarter of a year, nothing short of amazing. If you get a chance, go over and see what they've done, you'll be highly impressed. Again, thank you very much. If there's anything.
It's definitely been a busy couple weeks since the last meeting. Yeah, response going, getting drills going, working out a training schedule, like so that we're meeting our state requirements. And in addition to that, getting ready for the police department to move over. It's been a lot of labor intensive hours, getting stuff moved. I know I mentioned public safety last night, that we come up with more surplus items probably at the next meeting. Radios or computers, that kind of stuff that we're trying to clean house over there, getting rid of some old equipment. Yeah, I appreciate all of your guys' support as a whole department.
Thank you. Public Works Superintendent Jeff Nations.
Wanna also wish you the best of luck in Aberdeen. It's been a pleasure working with you. Hope your new adventure works out good. We're gonna miss you. Oh, just kinda to bring him in. That's it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Moving on to Mayor's report. We've kind of touched on a lot of it. Again, just reiterating, Chief Stratton, 30+ years in law enforcement, 18 with us. If I took my notes correctly, when you mentioned today, a great turnout today for your kind of celebration. A lot of returning faces. It was very nice to see. So you will absolutely be missed. But again, I have 0 concern about the department that you've built and the team that you've put together and the future of the department because of that. So
Team effort all the way, and thank you.
so it's look forward to your new endeavor, and I've already inserted you into a number of boards and just get used to that. As we talked about at the beginning of the meeting, a moment of silence for former city attorney Stephen Hyde. Just for those listening, 41 years of service with the city of Cosmopolis, and as an attorney in Aberdeen, Grace Harbor, and he only retired as our city attorney back in 2017, and we lost him this week. So just keep him and his family in your thoughts. One thing we did want to mention, talking about fire response and police, many were aware there was a rollover accident not too long ago, where a driver's vehicle went around a corner, skipped, and went through a power pole, blocking the road, rollover accident in the front of somebody's yard. I was at home when the call came in, just a couple blocks away, and so I went down to see if there was any assistance that I could provide. And I got to say that I came in, and Aberdeen was not able to assist with that because they had multiple calls coming at the same time. I went down to assist, but I was in no way needed. That Nick and Mark and Bruce and Heath and everybody just did a remarkable response on scene, and I wanted to publicly thank everyone. And then I called Darren, and we got Tom over and got cones and everything. Just a fantastic effort. And thankfully, the last I heard that the driver did not seem any major injuries, a little worse for wear, probably some bruising, but I just really cannot speak highly enough of all of the departments and their response and everything. It was just amazing to see. So we've got a great team, and it just went great. And then the last thing, we will have another meeting pre-Christmas, but before our next meeting, it will be the first day of Hanukkah. So I just want to wish anyone who does celebrate the Festival of Lights a joyous holiday. That's all that I got. So we'll move on to old business. Ordinance 1378 regarding RV parking that we had a workshop on earlier this evening. And there is updates based on suggestions and changes from the Public Safety Committee, and that is what is in front of the council. I want to go over at least title only, if that's okay with council.
Okay, this is an ordinance pertaining to the parking of recreational vehicles, oversized vehicles with trailers on city streets, amending chapter 10.24 of the Cosmopolis Municipal Code.
Little backstory on this. Chief Miles, if you want to touch on it, or I can, if you don't mind, and then
Go for it.
fix any gaps so I missed it. So this came about updating our current municipal code for any problem vehicles with oversized vehicles, RVs, things of that nature. This is updating the current municipal code that would add a civil infraction and a fine of $150 for parking on the street over 72-hour period without a permit. This is to discourage people from parking their RVs within the city, blocking visibility, causing issues within the city because of that. And this is an update of the current Cosmopolis Municipal Code to create those definitions and define the fine.
Yeah, I think Chief Stratton did a lot of legwork, all the legwork on this, researching some ordinances that would fit for our area. So I think we had a very productive meeting last night, ironing it out. Especially with the old ordinance that didn't have any teeth, and then with the new ordinance and changing definitions and where we needed to. So I think we got it to a place where we considered all things we talked about in the previous meetings.
Hearing that, what is the council's pleasure, if any?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1378.
There is a motion to approve ordinance 1378 regarding RV parking. Council comments. No discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
So passed. And there will be a resolution at the next meeting regarding permit fees. On to new business and ordinance 1380 consisting of the 2023 budget that we also had a workshop earlier this evening and prior to all of our meetings recently. Steve, if you could at least the title.
Ordinance 1380, an ordinance adopting the budget for the city of Cosmopolis, Washington for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2023.
There are multiple copies of this. There should be copies on the counter if anybody wanted to look at this, or if anybody had any questions regarding it from the public. This has been an ongoing difficult budget to work with. and brought it up to 0 hour, trying to get it balanced. Any other comments on that?
I don't think we've had a lot of discussion on the budget this year, probably more than prior years, although we do try to have a lot of them. I think we've got the best budget that we can present at this point in time.
Yeah, our outlook a few weeks ago was a lot more grim than what we came up with this week, so.
And I really have to commend Julie on all her hard work on this, because we've been crunching the numbers, and Darren, you as well. I mean, just kind of going back and forth and pinching the minimal pennies that we do have to pinch. We got to this point.
Yeah, poor Darren, I think I spent every 5 minutes running back and forth to his office going, and what about this? What do you think about that? And so it really was a collaborative effort between the finance committee, all of the department heads who are fantastic to work with. You know, even Casey, he was great. Even though he's abandoning me, it's okay. But no, everybody is wonderful. We truly have a team here at the city, and we all came together to make this work.
What's the council's pleasure, if any?
I make a motion to pass ordinance number 1380.
I second.
Motion by Councilmember Robinson, second by Councilmember Marcus, to approve ordinance 1380 consisting of the 2023 budget as presented. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed. Council comment period. Councilmember Marcus. Councilmember Carlisle.
For all your years of service. this evening.
You will.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Councilmember Anderson.
I was just checking to see, are we still on track to have a locals RFA meeting in January?
Theoretically, we're going through finances tomorrow at the meeting, and so once we get things sorted out, I would hate to have a locals and then have something change in a couple weeks after that. So we're getting very close to finalized.
I guess my second part to that would be if we should put something out on the water bills for next month. If you find, just inform the residents that we're gonna have a meeting, be it like we did last time over at the fire station, for local residents to come down and.
As long as we get the date set when the bills are going out around the 10th of the month. If it happens after that, then unfortunately I can't.
We can probably hash that out next council meeting, since we got another one this month.
If you guys can decide, because the bills will go out on the 10th of January. So the meeting would have to be after that.
Cause I don't know about the rest of council, but I fielded a few phone calls in the last couple months about what's going on with the RFA, what's going on. And I inform them, you know, there is meetings happening and. But they're more interested in doing like we did last time, just Cosmopolis residents come in and. So that's all I got. Oh, and by the way, thank you, Casey, for all your hard work. No, I'm just gonna copy what somebody else said. That's all.
Councilmember Robinson.
First, thank you, chief, for all that you've done for me in the last little bit of time that I've been here. Appreciate all that. I also want to thank whoever put up the decorations on the street.
Public Works.
Public Works. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, one day they were there. I figured that was part of it.
Quick, wasn't it?
I'm gonna tag on to
Looks
that.
great.
too.
It looks great.
I'm gonna go in with Ray on that. Hey, it looks great. It really does.
This wasn't my decoration. It was just-
I don't care who they are. Somebody put them up. So my decorations are up and I had to put them up. That's it.
Congratulate you, Chief Stratton, happy retirement and going into another career, because you can't stay home and mow the lawn all the time, so. Congratulations on that. And also on all of our lovely meetings that we have, you've been on a few recently, so we kind of already have that prepared. So I look forward to that as well. yeah, I just want to say the decorations look great. You guys put them up 2 weeks ago now, maybe a week and a half ago, somewhere in there. So yeah, lighting up the corridor looks good. And then, yeah, every time, every time I come in every week, it's incredible the amount of work every department's doing. It's not just, our public safety or this, that, and the other. It's everyone's just working really hard at every aspect of all these jobs. And then, our fire department's just working their behinds off over there as well. And now they're starting to respond to calls. So it's very encouraging to see, how much progress we can have, even though we don't have a lot. Everyone here puts their nose down and gets to work. So it's great.
Question, please. Due to COVID, we didn't have any open house on our last meeting. Is this something we can do again this year, or have we even thought about it, or is it?
Candace, actually, MRSC had an article come out recently regarding those. And it's really not recommended for the city to buy like all the food that we did. Like you can have a little coffee, things like that, but it's considered gifting of public funds. And so the state auditor's office says, no, you can't really do that.
Yeah,
So especially since we're in the middle of an audit.
yeah.
It's,
I figured it. Did you just make
If you want to and purchase everything and bring it, that would be phenomenal. And the citizens of Cosmopolis would greatly appreciate that.
we will, we invite everybody to the next meeting.
Absolutely.
But officially,
Okay.
officially, the state auditor does not.
So we had gotten an email,
Yeah.
was it a couple of weeks ago, I think, from MRSC that had addressed that.
The definitions of that seem to expand and expand and expand.
Oh my gosh.
So
How's that?
for,
It is sad.
just like all laws, somebody abused it somewhere and
Yeah.
so. But yes, we invite everybody to our next council meeting to close out the year. Public comments, again, public is available to comment on anything. This is on any item. And the floor is open. We just ask that you introduce yourself and try to limit your comments to 3 minutes if possible. All you.
Ashley Archangel, Ocean Avenue again. One, thank you, Casey, for your service. Moving to Cosmopolis was awesome. I went from living in downtown over there to Cosmopolis, and it was a whole game changer of safety. So we appreciate, like my family, being able to walk out and not be worried about anything happening. It's a huge comfort. I know you're gonna get through it since you landed. I think it's gonna be awesome. I think you guys are doing great as a police force. We appreciate it. Welcome. So thank you. Also, I wanted to discuss with cities when like things get closed for holidays. I think it's awesome that the staff gets to have some days off. However, it does make it very challenging when people are trying to get questions answered. For example, I still have issues trying to get in contact with our building inspector about questions. We contact him, we don't hear anything back. So I have to go through Julie, who's awesome and answers my emails wonderfully, but her being my go-between for the building inspector with questions is really frustrating when we're trying to work on things, and then having closed days makes it even more complicated to get an answer back. If he's not somebody who answers quickly. So just when there's closures to staff, I think it's important to notify the city more than like the day of or the day before. So people can plan for it and be like, oh, I had questions, let's make sure we get them before the really long holiday weekend. Because I know Christmas is coming, and I'm sure that means, there's regular Christmas and there's New Year's and there's all the holidays in between, and people take personal time, which is awesome, but it makes it really challenging to get questions answered during holiday times. So letting the public know, I think, is important there. And again, I want to reiterate the website thing. I was going through the code right before the meeting, and I just searched website. There's only one reference to any website posting at all. I think as a council, I do think it's important that we go through our code and look at like what's required to be posted and when and where, because everything is outdated in terms of the only thing required on the website is a full public record from the chief, and that's it. There's one poll from website. I think since we spent so much money on a new website, we should utilize it and make sure that it's accessible to people. So there's one condensed version for things that people are having to search. That's all I got for you.
I was gonna say, I just had a comment. My mother actually pointed out some things that a change here, a change there on the website. It's at least my feeling, my understanding. So we got the website, but nobody notices your own house is not clean. So if the public, if you see things that should be on there, and this is out to any of the public. If we stare at it and we're not going around and digging around, so if there's something that is misplaced, a link's broken or things like that. Feel free to make a list, or you can send emails to myself, or whatever, that we want that to be as accessible as possible, especially with the new website. We want to have these opportunities and provide those services. It's gonna be a work in progress because it is only a couple months old, but knowing what is needed and things of that'd be great. So you feel free to email me, text me, call me, or staff, whatever it is. We would greatly appreciate it. So thank you for your input. All you.
Hi, my name's Kim Gurn. I live on Turnberry Street. And as a longtime citizen of Cosmopolis, I'd also like to thank Chief Stratton. Long career here, we appreciate what you do. And also the hard work that you put into the new municipal code. I think it was very thoughtful in looking ahead to keeping any homeless RVs off the street. Talked about whether or not you moved from one position to the other, and I appreciate that. It's been helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think they have a comment. Hearing no further comments, again, 7:41 this evening. Call the meeting to a close, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.